What's up, folks, and welcome to another Destiny-themed YouTube video, a strong emphasis on another there. I want to thank everyone who watched, liked, and shared my first ever post. It means a lot to me, especially being brand new to the platform, which brings additional excitement to talk about my next topic, ways to improve my personal favorite playlist, Trials of Osiris. So we're going to try our best here to keep this a positive, constructive conversation. We're not going to simply bash cheating, sword peeking, mountain topping, the things we know ruin the playlist, but rather discuss core features, systems, and rewards to improve the approachability for more players. Now, before we jump right into the ideas, I do want to take a moment to discuss the history of Trials, detailing and depicting why we're here in the first place. The birth of Trials of Osiris starts with the House of Walls DLC way back in year 2 of Destiny 1, a time where my mom still did my laundry. It was the first quote-unquote endgame PvP activity in the Destiny universe, and it held the standard rule set that we all know and love. 3v3 elimination, first to 5 round wins, completing a card with no losses earns your right to the lighthouse. Guardians were able to pick up bounties for rewards along the way, as well as boons or tokens that assisted with buffs such as a free win on the card or the mercy that we all know and love in the event that we do lose a match. And to be honest, this game mode really put Destiny on the map in terms of content creation and streaming from a PvP competitive perspective, and even kept the game alive during year 3 until its eventual closure, where we moved to the launch of D2. Right after the launch of D2, we were given a slightly new endgame PvP mode with a few twists called Trials of the Nine. Trials of the Nine was built off of the same framework in that stringing together wins would ultimately get you a flawless run. However, the mode bumped up the Guardian count to 4 versus 4 and used the game mode Survival and Countdown to power the playlist instead of elimination. And from a general perspective, Destiny was also a different, struggling game at the time. We were still in a state of double primaries, extremely high time to kill, and if you remember, weapons didn't even have random rolls for the time being. With so much work needed to improve the core game, Bungie made the right decision of vaulting Trials of the Nine on an indefinite hiatus until they were quote-unquote ready to bring back an endgame PvP mode. Ultimately, Bungie completely revamped the sandbox with Forsaken, fixing a lengthy list of issues within the game, such as moving special weapons into the kinetic and energy slots, no longer hiding them behind heavy ammo. And after these much-needed sandbox changes were released, Guardian speculated when Bungie would bring back an endgame PvP activity, and what exactly would that activity be? Would they revert to the OG Trials of Osiris format that everyone knew and loved? Would they tweak Trials of the Nine slightly to match the revamped sandbox with Forsaken? Or would they come out with some completely new mode that no one's ever heard of? Fast forward to Season of the Worthy, where Bungie essentially took almost 2 years to re-release the original Trials of Osiris. With the exception of the token system and boons being replaced with passages, there were really no changes to the game mode. Now, I'm a sucker for nostalgia like the next Guardian, but I honestly think we need to freshen things up to keep the mode fun and engaging. So with that being said, let's break down the themes I would like to address to give Trials a makeover for the better. Every topic that we are discussing here has one common goal in mind, which is to increase player population and approachability for all Guardians. The more Guardians playing Trials, the more variability we get match to match, and more variability means less running into cheaters, stacked recovs, etc. In order to increase player population, I believe we need to address 1. Matchmaking, 2. Reward structure, 3. Weekly modifications, and 4. Evolving the lighthouse. Starting with matchmaking. We all know the dreaded feeling that comes upon us when we're nearing Game 7. How many times have we made it all the way to the final game of the card only to get shut down by stacks or good teams? This is why I believe that Bungie should change their approach from the 7-win card and move to a similar concept like Call of Duty's Modern Warfare tournament mode. The way this mode works is 32 teams are randomly selected from the player pool and placed into a single elimination bracket until the 2 final teams show down in the last match. In this case, the winner of the tournament or bracket would be granted access to the lighthouse. But how would this help? Primarily, this would potentially reduce the amount of gatekeeping from the lighthouse, due to the fact that the last team you would have to face in the bracket would just be the better of the teams that were randomly match-made, instead of all the sweat teams in the entirety of the playlist that are also on Game 7. Think of it this way: if Grenadier Jake didn't match up in the same tournament as you, then there's no chance that you're going to lose to him on the final game. Is there the potential to still match up against highly skilled teams? Absolutely, but the fact that you only have to take out the teams that you initially match within the brackets should increase the chances of winning out, rewarding the team that also performs best in this mini tournament. Moving on to reward structure. Let's be honest, this weekly fixed loophole just ain't cutting it. We want the population to grow, right? So when the rewards from trials are the playlist fillers like the rocket launcher, the fusion rifle, the class item, what's the incentive to play? First things first, every item that drops from endgame content in general needs to be top tier. Whether it's raids, dungeons, trials, there should be no half-assed weapons or loot that drops when completing the activity. I also believe that top tier rewards should be tied to bounties or tasks and not by getting 3, 5, or 7 wins on the card. The reason for that is if the summoner is the reward on game 3 with crap rewards later on in the passage, then what's the point of going past game 3? I can simply farm 3 wins on all my characters and then farm tokens by continuously resetting after game 1. Bounties that reward different avenues of achievement could replace this system. For example, you can guarantee yourself an auto by completing a farmable bounty such as get 50 kills in trials with an auto or some other achievable task. Bungie can offer these farmable bounties for all weapons in the pool, so no matter what weapon you are hunting down, you have the ability to farm for it no matter what weekend it is. It would be ideal to have a similar system work for armor as well, especially those who are still hunting down for pinnacle rewards and have that one piece that's holding them back from achieving max power, or even a better stat roll for a build. I would personally love to fulfill the example of, hey, I need one last high strength chest piece for this unlimited melee build by farming for that loot throughout the weekend until I'm satisfied with the drop. The last bit I will add in regards to rewards here is a controversial one, but I will always stand by the fact that the Lighthouse needs to hold better incentivized rewards than the rest of the loot pool. Again, we need to eliminate talented teams resetting cards early, making it difficult for newer players to win even one game, in addition to the fact that, hey, we want to be rewarding those for putting in the time and effort to finally make it to the Lighthouse. We know that Bungie has stated that they would like to release adept weapons with interesting intrinsic bonuses, say that one 69 times fast, but I would also like to see weapon perks that only drop from going flawless. This is similar to the Iron Gaze and Iron Grip perks that only drop from Iron Banner. It would be interesting to see something like a unique sniper scope come on the Eye of Soul only from the flawless chest. As for gear, maybe they can already come masterworked or have an additional mod slot or something that only comes from the chest. Ideally, anything that grants an extra reward for hitting the Lighthouse should be better for all players, whether you're new to the playlist and just trying to get in and, get your feet wet, or you're someone who's looking to grind for mods from the flawless chest. It seems like it would be better for everyone. Now, so far, we've talked about matchmaking and rewards, which brings us to our last 2 topics that kind of go hand in hand, which are weekly modifiers and enhancing the Lighthouse. Let's take a second to look at the weekly modifiers on Nightfalls. Basically, each week there's a new set of modifiers that shakes up the weekly strikes that we farm throughout the entire season. It's a nice way to take the same exact strike that we all know and love, but add a twist to it. Things like elemental burns make different weapons more viable, and modifiers like grounded dictate what classes and abilities to leverage. But most importantly, it does a great job of adding variety to the content that we've already played through. Now, Bungie has dabbled with applying this idea to trials in the past. We can remember that spooky weekend in Cauldron in T1 where there was no radar and no revives, and we can even loop in that wacky Prometheus Lens laser tag weekend that happened back in Trials of the Nine. It was insanity, but it made the weekend different and unique. But aside from the map and rewards changing weekly, there's really no other variety to Trials week to week. So what if, like Nightfalls, Trials also had a mild weekly modifier? Some examples of these can be something like lightning rounds, where the round timer for each round is cut in half to make things faster, or even something like void weekends where you have to play as a void subclass no matter what character you're on. This will make each weekend a little bit more unique, and you can even potentially cater to player skills, giving them a better chance to go flawless. If I'm someone who's cracked with a pulse rifle, and the modifier for this weekend rewards bonus XP for using a pulse, then hey, this is my weekend, I want to have fun and take advantage of it. Now, I will admit you definitely have to be careful with this concept, not making modifiers too aggressive where they would actually cause folks to not even want to go into trials. That Prometheus Lens weekend was fun, but also painful. But I overall think it would be nice to get a little bit of variety weekend to weekend and just shake things up. And on the variety train of thought, let's talk about the Lighthouse itself. Not gonna lie, the Lighthouse in D2 compared to D1 is a little bland. But I think Bungie can capitalize on this. What if each weekend or so there was a new addition to the lighthouse for you to explore when going flawless? Something like new structures that have lore to discover, or even an NPC visiting with a special quest. This is something that can grow throughout the season and culminate with a unique ending. I think it's a quick win to add more thrill to going flawless and to just keep that desire up to make it there. Whatever plans Bungie does have to adjust the mode, I ultimately hope that it allows for more players to have fun with Trials. It really stinks when I want to just play with friends who are a little bit more casual in PvP, but every match is a stacked sweat fest. What ends up happening is my friends don't even want to come back to explore Trials, because every time they come, it's sort of a train wreck. So the only thing we can do is stay positive and continue to provide constructive criticism. I want to thank everyone who watched the video up to this point, or at any point for that matter. And if you did happen to like the video, feel free to hit like or subscribe. And if you have any additional thoughts or ideas to improve Trials, throw them in the comments below. Thank you, and I'll see you in the Cosmodrome.